Hello everyone, I'm currently on the tail end of one of the busiest weeks I've had ever since I was in university, but I didn't want that to stop me from creating a video for you all. So I decided this could be a good time to analyse the OP, since it's only short and mostly features references without having to worry about manga comparisons or that kind of stuff. Basically I thought it'd be quick and easy. I was wrong. Remember, you can see the notes for this analysis and the outtakes for free on my website, links in the description. So the OP starts with a bunch of olives. Strange, but don't worry, I'll get into why this is soon. We then see Takagi gazing off into the distance before giving Nishikata an elbow bump to mess with him. Nishikata looks slightly bothered and embarrassed by this contact, but decides to stand straight with a face of determination. This is already a pretty good summary of the show in a nutshell. Takagi does little things to embarrass Nishikata, and while they do work, Nishikata tries his hardest to hide that fact. We then get a few quick stills that are all references to different parts of the show, starting with a pair of shoes at Nishikata's front door, likely referencing room when Takagi came to visit. It then shows us a paper string by paper box. This is likely a reference to Eraser, where Nishikata has been constructing one of these jack-in-the-boxes. This is also supported by the eraser sitting just outside the pencil case. Finally, we see two cans, one for orange juice and one for coffee, and I feel like this is a bit of a missed opportunity. This could have been a nice reference to empty can, tandem writing, or even two-choice question, but instead it references coffee, a short story focusing on Mina, Sane, and Yukari. We then see Nishikata walking to school carrying his bag, with cherry blossom petals falling around him, suggesting that this is taking place early on in the school year. We then see Takagi walk next to him before panning up to the title of the show. We then see an image of the middle school that Nishikata and Takagi attend, which is actually based on a real school. In fact, many of these places in the show and the OP are based on locations around Shodo Island, the place where the manga author Yamamoto grew up. We then cut to a bridge that Nishikata is crossing, with Takagi catching up to him while pushing her bike. She taps him on his left shoulder, but Nishikata knows this game. He expects that she is actually to his right, and she is trying to trick him by getting him to look over the wrong way. In an attempt to outsmart her, he turns right, but she moves her finger so that Nishikata's face looks silly once he has turned around. Takagi smirks at Nishikata for getting him anyway. This is another really good summary for the show. Takagi puts a plan in action, Nishikata tries to outsmart her but still comes out the loser in most situations, and Takagi is always one to revel in those victories. We then see a bunch of pink flowers that Reddit users Tree Rabbit and Chunky Guy identified as creeping phlox, which appears to be a flower that rivals the cherry blossom in its beauty and appeal to the wider public and tourists. As for what it means to the OP, I think it's just further explanation that the OP is taking place in spring towards the start of the school year. We then see Takagi and Nishikata walking down a narrow path. This is where the OP introduces side characters by having them walk past the two. It starts with Mina, Sane, and Yukari. Mina appears to be shouting loud, similar to how she was portrayed in Day Duty. Yukari pulls her away, understanding that there is a potential romance between Takagi and Nishikata, and not wanting Mina to interrupt them. This is similar to how she acted towards the beginning of Tailing. We then see Mano and Nakai, the only canon couple in the show so far. They both know that there's a potential romance between Takagi and Nishikata, but they both go about it differently. Nakai openly cheers Nishikata on with a thumbs up, just like he did in Cleaning Duty. And Nishikata seems to be just as clueless about what he's cheering him on for here as he was then. Mano, however, doesn't want to risk ruining this potential pairing by putting pressure on them, so she tries to stay out of their way. She pulls Nakai away as well, as she does in Cleaning Duty and Swimsuit. Lastly, Nishikata's friends Kimura and Takeo walk by. They briefly look at Nishikata and Takagi together before looking forward and walking ahead. Now, this isn't referencing anything that happens in the anime, but it is similar to something that happens in the manga, particularly Chapter 53, Dates, where Takeo and that dark-haired kid from Critical Hit enter a corner store to see Nishikata and Takagi having lunch together. They look at them, and then keep walking without saying hello. Nishikata tries to call out to them, likely to tell them that this isn't what it looks like, something he actually succeeds in doing in Invitation and Marathon, but fails here. Takagi laughs at his embarrassment, and Nishikata looks away frustrated in yet another shot that could basically describe the whole show. There's a brief shot of the temple where Nishikata and Takagi took shelter in Shelter from the Rain, and Race 2 in Tailing. We then see a park, and yes, unfortunately, this is just the park, not the one they went to in Kickover. You can tell because there are no kickover bars, and because the slide in this park is slightly different. This is when we get into one of the more interesting parts of the OP. Nishikata, who has a windmill and a crab and a few bunches of olives in his background, looks over to Takagi, who has a stalk, a wreath, and a few bunches of olives in her background. She then looks back and gives him a smirk. Before we move on, you know what I have to do. I mean, I might regret the great Furin rant of Room, but it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen again. So I'm gonna have to analyze the potential symbolism of these background items, but at least this time I'm going to give you guys an option to spare yourselves. If you want to skip all that, skip to the time code on the screen now. And for those of you who have remained, let's do this. Let's start with Nishikata. The crab in his background is likely a reference to his star sign, Cancer, which we learned about in Critical Hit. The windmill, on the other hand, isn't just any windmill. It's actually the windmill in Shodoshima, also known as Shodo Island, where the show takes place. And can you guess what the symbol for Shodo Island is? Mother freaking olives! So it turns out these symbols that I was hoping would be more telling of the characters' destinies were actually just more location confirmation. For Nishikata at least. How about Takagi? Well as having a few olives, she also has a stork or crane. These birds are supposed to represent good fortune, which could be a reference to fortune telling, where Takagi is told that she would do well with her crush, or be a reference to her generally good luck. The other symbol is an olive wreath, which was a prize granted to the winners of some of the first Olympic Games held in Greece. This is likely a reference to her nature as a winner. However, when both the stork and the wreath are considered as symbols together, it may be a hint as to how Takagi always wins. That she is just better at this game than Nishikata is, and in the places where she is not better, she makes up for it with generally good luck. And welcome back to all of you who skipped ahead. You totally missed the end joke of this video being mother freaking olives! But I'm sure you'll live. Something else that's interesting about this exchange is that despite being animated as though this entire sequence happens all at once, it's actually implied that they don't by the change of clothing. Look here, Nishikata is wearing a solid blue shirt with white around the neck. However, as he is being pulled into the water, he is suddenly wearing a white shirt with blue arms and neck. Or how Takagi goes from wearing a yellow top that has full shoulder straps to wearing a pink top that has tied up shoulder straps. And a nice hat, possibly the one she wore in Watertap. I'll get into why this might be later, but for now I just wanted to point it out. So as I mentioned before, Takagi pulls Nishikata into the water. However, the water is so shallow that it barely gets their shoes wet. Takagi laughs that she was able to catch Nishikata off guard while Nishikata looks frustrated. They then both stand in the water looking at each other as the camera pans up, ending the OP. Before I get into the post run-through chat, I just wanted to say a few things about the song that is used for this OP. I've seen a few translations so far, but the general consensus is that the chorus of this song describes a young girl's feelings towards a guy she likes, that she doesn't mind if people think they are together as long as it is with him, but she can never actually say that to his face. Also interesting to note is that the song is sung by Takagi's voice actor using Takagi's voice. This could potentially describe Takagi's ultimate predicament in the show. She wants to be with Nishikata for reasons I will get into when I analyse First Day of School, but given her vulnerability towards romantic situations with him, she can never say that out loud. Now as for the last part of the OP, this is likely the ultimate metaphor for the show's premise. Takagi gets Nishikata into situations he'd probably rather not be in, and enjoys it. Nishikata is always annoyed by this but rarely has any recourse. The fact that their clothes change could be a way to show that this is their status quo, that this is how it is day after day. The fact that they barely got wet is probably trying to tell us that the situations they get each other into are never really all that bad. No one gets hurt, it's all in good fun. And most importantly, the fact that they are both together in the end says that none of these interactions are quite enough to make either of these characters enjoy spending time together any less. Oh yeah, and as for the hat falling off, I think that's a reference to how some of Takagi's plans are actually a detriment to her. They actually inconvenience her in some way, but she doesn't care. She doesn't care if she is inconvenienced by her own plans. She just loves messing with Nishikata so much. A good example of this would be Day Duty, when she actually woke up early just so that she can mess with Nishikata first thing in the morning. And that is it for the OP. My god, this was supposed to be the quick and easy one that I could choose for a time when I was too busy to do a full analysis. But this one is the longest one so far. God damn. Remember to subscribe to catch more Takagi-san analyses, and remember to check out my main channel for the films that I write and direct. That is all. I will see you next time.